this is something that I think so many people want in their lives. I know for myself, even personally, that I want better sleep too. And one of the things we're actually going to talk about is the different times of the day. Believe it or not, sleep starts the second you wake up. How well you will sleep the next night literally starts from the second you open your eyes and start moving through the day. So I kind of broke this up into things that we can do before bed, things that we should do in the daytime, and things that we should do when waking to hopefully improve our sleep hygiene and get better sleep for ourselves. So let's talk about before bed. The first thing that I always tell people is to make sure your room is cool. A lot of times people don't realize this or know this, but your body needs to actually lower a couple degrees in body temperature to fall asleep fully. And if it doesn't, guess what? You're not going to be able to fully sleep. The research on this, I actually don't know fully why this is. I would guess it's got to have something to do with trying to, I guess, reduce inflammation in the body and cool yourself off from the day. Yeah, I don't know. Being 98.6 degrees throughout the day consistently, I would guess would take a lot of difficulty to maintain that heat. So maybe dropping down in temperature can just be another way for your body to kind of literally cool itself off, but not be at that heat. So long story short, we need to keep our room cool. This isn't freezing, but you should get out of your bed if you're under covers, and it should feel like, oh, this is cold, I might need a jacket. That's step one. Another thing that we talked about in the previous section is phone and electronic usage. You should try to limit this. If not completely get rid of it. I put my phone in the other room before I go to bed. I actually have it on a charger in a completely separate room, so I'm not tempted to use it, not only when I'm going to bed at night, but also in the morning as well. I just completely cut myself off of that entirely, and that has helped tremendously. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast too, I also use the sunrise alarm. So about 10 minutes before I want to wake up, it will start to slowly increase the light in the room, which I find very peaceful. I actually usually wake up during that sunrise before my alarm even goes up anymore. So that's super handy. And then at nighttime too, it can do the opposite. So I can set a timer where it's really bright, and then we'll slowly go down almost like a sunset in my room, which I think is amazing. I love it. Another thing we can do before bed is try some of those calming activities we talked about. So meditation, I love meditating. That was actually one of the reasons I started meditating, was to get better sleep, and it did help tremendously, and I still do it to this day. Although I do actually meditate in the morning, but I still do think it helps my sleep. That's regardless, besides the point. Journaling is a great way to write down all your feelings, all your thoughts, and help to decrease some anxiety, which can help before bed. Maybe some light stretching. That can help to decrease some overall tension in your body. And again, it's just a relaxing activity. You're trying to think of stuff that is relaxing for you, that you enjoy. Maybe this is a bath, maybe this is reading. There's so many things that you can do. In addition to this, I did talk about that bedtime alarm earlier. Setting a bedtime alarm is crucial. And how this might look for you is maybe 9 o'clock, you literally have an alarm on your phone. 7 a.m. in the morning, a lot of us, 6 or 7 a.m., we have an alarm to give us to wake up. You could do the same thing at night. Just have an alarm on your phone. And then that tells you that, hey, I need to go to bed within the next 30 minutes. It just gives you a verbal reminder, a kind of a haptic reminder, a hearing reminder that you're able to hear, and it gives you that trigger. It's time for bed. That is super crucial. Start setting actual bedtime alarms for yourself. Pillow positions, this is another thing. Some people might need a pillow in between their legs. Some people might need maybe one on their back. Trying to find different pillow positions can be crucial in improving your overall sleep quality while you're actually sleeping. And this is something that I play around with a lot, but some people, especially if you have chronic pain, you might need a lot of pillows to kind of cocoon yourself to have overall better sleep. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on is just having mostly darkness. If you have any type of light in your room, light suppresses melatonin, and we'll talk about melatonin a little bit later in the podcast. But if you have light in your room, you're literally telling your body to stay awake. Don't go to bed, even though you're in bed. You're telling your body to stay awake. So those are some things you can do before bed or even during your bedtime. And then during the day, some other things that you want to consider is just taking short naps if you are somebody who does like taking naps. So I would say 15 to 30 minutes. It really depends on your overall tolerance as an individual. Some people are going to be able to get away with kind of longer naps. But what I want you to realize is that this really does mess with your overall sleep later in the day. And it might not seem like it, but it will. It 100% will, especially the sleep quality. I know for myself, I actually stopped taking naps a long time ago. I've got my sleep, knock on wood, pretty under control for the most part. But when I used to take naps, if it was longer than 10 minutes, I stayed up super late. Long story short, I couldn't go to bed right away. It probably took me an extra hour and a half to actually fully go to bed. And I know a lot of people find this too. So if you do nap, find that tolerance, find that overall level for yourself. Having a stable blood sugar will also help your nighttime sleepiness. So if you're somebody who eats a bunch of carbs at one meal with not a lot of protein or fat, and then you eat carbs throughout the day, have another blood sugar spike, that will not only affect your overall sleepiness during the day, but it could, again, if it's affecting your sleepiness during the day, it likely could stem towards night. So if you get really tired because you have a huge blood sugar spike after your lunch at work, and then you feel like you need to take a nap, and then that messes your sleep later, guess what? That's a never-ending cycle. So anyways, trying to make your blood sugar stable is very, very crucial. If you are somebody who does work out, trying to not work out too late in the day is a great way to hopefully improve your overall sleep hygiene. And I wouldn't say not all workouts are the same. If it's very, very intense, I just don't even know if I would do it at all. If you're somebody who's used to it, you'll probably be okay. But as we talked about in this previous section, your body needs to lower its body temperature. So if you're doing something that's raising the body temperature quite a bit, that's going to be very, very tough for it to come down quite a ways. I know when I was playing hockey during this last summer, there was a couple like 90 to 100 degree days where I was playing hockey at like 9 p.m. at night. And after that game, it took me like 2 hours to actually fall asleep because my body was so hot. I literally could not cool down fast enough. So again, just something to consider if you work out. Try not to do it too late, ideally. And then monitor your fluid intake throughout the day. If you are somebody who drinks a lot of water, you should. Absolutely, that's great. But too much water close towards bedtime, that can lead you to waking up numerous times throughout the night. This is something that I struggle with. I like drinking a lot of water, but I'll drink a lot in the beginning of the day and then forget to during the middle of the day and try to make up for it at nighttime with my dinner. And that usually sets me up for not a good night of sleep. There's sometimes I really, really regret it, and I'm waking up 3 times to go to the bathroom because I chugged way too much water, and just not a good situation. Monitor your fluid intake. When you wake up, this is a whole other aspect of getting good sleep. So when you wake up, some of the things you want to try to do are get bright light as soon as you can within waking. Specifically sunlight. If you're in a place where you can actually go outside and view the sunlight, this is one of the best hacks to actually getting good sleep, because you are telling your body, your visual system is literally telling your brain, hey, it's now time to wake up. This is when I need to produce cortisol, which will help you wake up more, wake up quicker in the morning. And when you have a good rise of cortisol right in the morning, this can at the same time help you to go back to bed later at night. So that bright light exposure, specifically sunlight. But if it's only just bright light fluorescent lights, that's okay too. But ideally, you want to try to get sunlight if you can. It's hard for me in the winter. I live in the Midwest, so during the winter I'm not able to get outside as much and get that sunlight. So I still try to have some bright light. I actually have one of these desk lamps. It's like a 10,000 lux lamp, which kind of mimics sunlight. So I use that a lot throughout the day, even in the summertime. Something to consider. Another thing that is hard to get people on board with, but taking cold showers right when you wake up. This can increase that cortisol quite a bit, which, as we talked about earlier, can help you to fall asleep later in the night and help you honestly just wake up from that adrenaline kick. That's tough to do. I actually just do a kind of a cold rinse. So I just dunk my head in cold water in the morning. I don't think it gives quite the same benefits, but it's still something that I do. And it definitely wakes me up right away. It's probably not quite to the same degree. Another thing that a lot of people do right when they wake up is drink coffee, drink caffeine, drink energy drinks, etc. They're tired, right? They want to wake up quickly. This is a really fatal error when talking about trying to optimize your sleep hygiene and overall energy through the rest of the day. And the reason because of this is when you sleep at night, there's this byproduct called adenosine. Adenosine is something that exists in ATP, which is basically energy molecules. And when we use ATP, the adenosine builds up in our body. And when it builds up when we sleep, this is in large part when it's cleared out of our body. With that said, though, after you wake up, let's say 1 to 2 hours after you wake up, there's still adenosine prevalent in your body. And what caffeine does is if you take it within that 1 to 2 hours after you wake, you're actually blunting the ability for adenosine to be fully ridded from your body. So I wouldn't say excreted, but basically the ability for it to clear from your body, it goes down. The problem with that is you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to block it. No problem. This is a huge problem actually though, because it doesn't go away. So you may block it in the interim, but this is why a lot of people get that slump in the afternoon, because that adenosine never fully got out of their system and the caffeine is slightly wearing off. So when that happens, the adenosine is now rebuilt into your body. This is in large part sleep inertia, your ability to wake up and get going in the day. This is why this really happens for the most part. It's that adenosine. It's that kind of like, that grogginess still persistent. So if you take caffeine right away, that's delaying that later in the day, which can then lead to that afternoon slump, which can lead to a nap, which can lead to all this never-ending cycle of poor sleep habits. So again, just something to consider. Try to delay caffeine if possible, 90 minutes to 2 hours after you wake up. I try to do this for myself, and then you're good to go. And then, of course, the last thing that we can do to get better sleep after waking is trying to work out or just get moving in general. I say working out, getting our heart rate up is great. Some people might not want to or be able to fully get a full workout in right when they wake up, but just getting moving in general, getting some blood flow in your body will help you tremendously for your sleep later at night, but also in the day. This is another thing that actually raises cortisol right when you wake up. So basically the sooner you can work out after you wake up, the better it's going to be, not only for your energy throughout the day, but for that sleep later in night. So a couple of really good tools there that can improve your overall sleep quality quite a bit.